Hello and welcome to Channel Sports on Sunday. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos studio. And of course, Ken Ochonago is in London. He will be joining me all through the show. No dropping of pen in the middle of the program today. So Ken will be joining me straight from London. Ken, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Cici. It looks like it is you and I today. Because the way from what we are gathering right here, how do we say it in Nigeria? You realize the traffic tire apart. So, but let's see how it's going. It's another great Sunday, and we are definitely going to have fun on the show today. Definitely, definitely.
It's obviously fun because we have a loaded package for you this afternoon. We're starting with the FIFA Women's World Cup. It's 25 days to go to this very event. 64 matches, 32 teams. That's for the first time, of course, co-hosted by two countries, New Zealand and Australia. So thousands are celebrating the 25 days to go in Sydney. Also, we'll take a look at the NPFL. They just concluded a season. We'll have an expert in the house to reflect on this season, of course, tell us some of the players that are moving to other clubs. Yes, there's local transfer currently going on in the Nigeria Premier Football League. Also, touchdown on Saudi Arabia, the Pro League. What is it? What is in it for players and also for the country itself? Should they settle on developing their own players, grooming academies, or maybe grooming coaches, or just rely on those players who are about to retire coming into the league to maybe bring more fun or more money into the league? What are they trying to do? We'll talk about that, talking about Saudi Arabia Pro League, where you have players actually moving there right now. Some are even refusing clubs like Barcelona to go to Saudi Arabia. Yes, it's currently happening. Also, we will take a look at the Niger Super 8 that is going on in Eket in Akwa Ibom. Of course, the final 8 will be in Lagos starting July 7. Take a look at the teams that have already qualified for that, and also the two teams that will be joining to complete the 6, and then the wild cards will not happen. Yeah, these and many more we'll be talking about on this program. Of course, Victor Osimhen still celebrating that Scudetto he won with Napoli for the first time after 33 years. You know what that means to a player who was able to score 31 goals in a season, 39 games, a season that he was injured some of the time, but he was able to do that for Napoli. So he's still celebrating that, despite the fact that he's in Nigeria and the season is over. There's so many transfer news going on with some Nigerian players, but none is confirmed yet. But on this program, we'll be able to give you a tidbit of all that is going on. Also, reflection on the Federation Cup. I know Ken will want to jump in on that. But before we talk about that, let's just start up with this big one, which is 25 days to the FIFA Women's World Cup in New Zealand and Australia. Thousands gather in Sydney Harbour, that iconic bridge. You know, they're celebrating that. What does it mean to these people in Australia, to the fans who gather, football fans who gather? About 4,000 of them were able to cross the bridge as part of a festival of football ahead of the tournament. 32 teams, as I mentioned. I mean, that is massive, Ken. This event on the bridge closed on traffic for the duration of the time. They were able to, I think it involved the unveiling of a 17-meter tall Unity jersey. It was carried along the bridge as people were waving their flags and cheering. It was a massive celebration. This is what it means to host the World Cup, where you are expecting 32 countries across the world coming into your country.
Yeah, 32 countries, and you are not just hosting football, you are hosting ladies. Sisi, football has come a long way. This World Cup, you remember, this is the bit about it is you can't talk about the female World Cup without talking about Nigeria. We've been there ab initio. We've been there from 1991 in China. So anytime you talk about this, you know, yes, Nigeria has only been there, and that is where people like Choma Ajunwa, most of us don't know that she was part of that team. Of course, she won our first gold medal in 1996, you know, with that long jump. But by 1991, 5 years earlier, she was part of the football team. She was part of the football team that went to China, you know, to represent us. And then looking at it, that 32 teams, 32 female teams, when you have the men, you know, of course, you have some Razzmatazz. But when you have the women, you have gliss, you have the blaze of glory, you have color, you have what it takes, and that is just what is this. So for this far end of the world, the New Zealanders, the Australians, they look forward to this. It is easy for us at this side in Europe, in Africa, to move around easily. But when you are traveling the far end of the world, they don't get this is often. So it is sports that bring the world to their world. Most of the time, they are the people that go outside there to come and visit. But here, it is a festival of football that is at least is something that is worth beholding.
Yeah, Sydney Harbour Bridge was the place where it took place this morning. Let's take a listen to those who took part in this iconic celebration. 25 days to the FIFA Women's World Cup.
Soccer, don't you? Lillian loves soccer, and we just want to support women's sport, and it's just a great opportunity to walk across this beautiful harbour bridge and celebrate with everybody about the World Cup. The fact that women's sport is becoming much more visible, and it's wonderful to see us finally get a chance to show what we can do on the world stage. It's amazing.
We've got a couple of like stadium packages, flexi passes. We're going to the ones in Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney,
everywhere.
Round of 16, quarter-final, semi-final, and hopefully the finals.
Our hearts are also with our country, which is, I'm from Ecuador, she's from Uruguay.
Well, I'm Uruguayan and I'm very happy to be here today. This is an amazing opportunity to start the Soccer World Cup. And well, women, we deserve the world, so we're here. We are the first round and we're gonna cross the bridge and we're gonna celebrate the unity that Australia gives to us, to all the countries, not only in South America, to all the countries here in Australia. I love Australia. World Cup, girls, make it happen, make this country beautiful because we love soccer, we love soccer!
Yeah, everywhere from South America across the world, they had to go to Sydney to witness the festival of football. Yes, it's 25 days to the FIFA Women's World Cup, and the Super Falcons of Nigeria will be opening camp on the 29th of this month. They're planning a 15-day camp in Australia, where, of course, NFF has promised that they will have the best of preparations. Let's hope for the best for the Super Falcons of Nigeria to see how far they will go in the World Cup that is having 32 countries for the first time and 64 matches. And not just that, with all the money coming in, $30,000 at the group stage. That's the minimum you will earn as a player. And FIFA, of course, is paying directly to the player's account, so you don't have, you have to go to some sites, but it's directly to all the players taking part. So best wishes to all the players taking part at the FIFA Women's World Cup. Yes, the countdown will definitely continue on this one. But let's leave that and quickly talk about another big one. Can we now know the country that will be hosting the first ever FIFA Club World Cup that will be having 32 clubs? And of course, unanimously, FIFA decided, okay, United States will be hosting. Apparently, because of the 2026 World Cup, they feel, okay, United States can also host these clubs. And the difference with this and all other FIFA Club World Cup is the fact that all the clubs that have won the Champions League in the past 4 years will be a part of this. Likes of Chelsea, likes of Bayern, of course, Real Madrid, the Petro guys will also be part of it. That's what they will be doing, you know, in the FIFA Club World Cup coming up in 2025. So by 2023, it will be over. You will no longer have the FIFA Club World Cup in the kind of format it is right now. So they will be having, you know, from 2025, you will now be having 32 team club, you know, will be taking part. Of course, United States will be hosting this. How big of this is it? I mean, you know, it was confirmed in March that you are going to be having a revamped Club World Cup, and people are actually kicking against it. It's going to be every 4 years. What does this mean? After the 2-year World Cup did not sail with most of the clubs, but now with most of the countries, because they felt it's going to put pressure on all the players. But now you're going to be having a tournament every 4 years. Clubs will be taking part. It's going to be odd years, so it won't clash with the FIFA World Cup. It's going to be a year after or a year before the World Cup. That's what it's looking like, because the next World Cup is in 2026, and then you're having the Club World Cup taking place in 2025, and it's the country that is hosting that is also hosting this one. How big of a change is this for the country hosting and also for all the clubs across Europe that will be taking part? As I mentioned, the likes of Chelsea, Real Madrid, of course, Manchester City, they are the teams that have qualified from Europe to take part in this particular 32-team Club World Cup.
32 teams. As usual, Europe has the bulk. Europe has 12 teams. But of note is that Africa will presenting 4 teams. So let's hope that either Enyimba, Rivers United, Bendel Insurance, we will be able to be among the 4 teams that will represent Africa. That is good. That it is good. FIFA is looking at money, monetizing, and then clubs, getting this. Earlier on, you mentioned about participating at the Female World Cup. $30,000 going into your account direct. It's not a question of we just hold it in trust for you by these, especially African federations. We've had these issues a very, very long time. Ghana, Nigeria, even South Africa. A lot of time you see the players say, "Look, give us our money." I remember 2002 World Cup when after qualifying, the players were given amount of money by I think the Governor Odili also at River State, and before they were to go to the AFCON go to the AFCON 2002, the players demanded for their money. And the FA said, let us search for it. They kept searching for it, but there was nowhere. It took the supporters club to go and raise about the 17 million. Because the players boycotted that game against, we were supposed to play friendly against Egypt, and the players said, we are not playing that until you give us our money. It is not your money, it is our money they give to keep for us. Not. So this one, FIFA said, we paid directly to the players. I think it was in 2014 World Cup. 2014 World Cup, where the Ghanaian players refused to play. They have to ferry money. The president has to ferry money from Ghana to go over there to go and give to them before they play their match. So these things have always been there. So to avoid that, give us your account. Give us our account. I remember there is a Nigerian player who is still asking for his money because I think Noble or so. Because they said the account he gave was not the dollar account or was not the wrong account. Till now, the guy has not collected his money. So most of these things are all there. But you have to avoid first. Look, you are coming in. Give us the list of players who are coming in. They have their names. They let us have their. As we are getting their name and their passport, let us have their account number. So I will just send directly to them. I think this is good. And then the World Cup, like we're saying, anything America is worth it. The football in America, they are doing everything possible. I think we'll look at that one. We'll talk about. They're doing everything possible to make the game one of the most popular in the world. When they don't do their things, with little measures, they go out over there, to get to know that yes, if we are involved, we are truly involved. We are not just here to participate. We are here to beat the numero uno. Attracting players, building stadium right, left, and center, getting the franchises to make sure that it is run as business, putting it there and then bringing in the biggest stars. So what else do you think? When they are hosting the World Cup again, then Mexico and Canada are hosting the World Cup. That's in 2026. So if this one comes in 2025, remember, it's a kind of a prelude of what the World Cup is going to be. So you focus on something. There is a target where you want to reach. You prepare the ground. You understand? John the Baptist coming before the Christ. That is what we are keen here. That is what we are saying. So testing the waters, as that's going to happen. That's why it's going to happen. So let's see what this eye is going to be. I think Moise is trying to join us, but okay, we can get him on.
All right.
He's the king of the north is about joining us, so let's get him on board.
Yeah, before he joins us, let's take a listen to FIFA President Gianni Infantino confirming that United States will be hosting the 32-team Club World Cup in 2025. And of course, the usual 7 team will be discontinued after this year.
The FIFA new Club World Cup, first edition of which will take place in 2025, with 32 teams, the best clubs from all over the world, will be hosted in the United States of America. Well, I believe that North America and of course United States, as part of it, will host an incredible men's World Cup in 2026. Preparations are well on track there as well. The excitement is starting, and seeing how the game of football or soccer is growing in the United States, we felt at the Council unanimously that it's the right decision to bring the best clubs of the world in July 25, 32 clubs, including all winners of all Champions Leagues all over the world over the last 4 years, to play in the first and the greatest club competition in the world. They will be united in the United States, and this will give another impetus to the growth of the game, which will reach, I'm sure, in the next couple of years, completely different levels in North America. We know that the United States is a country that loves sports, a country that invests a lot in sport, a country that feels a lot about sport, and we know as well that football or soccer doesn't yet have that level that it should have in terms of the impact in North America. I'm sure that these competitions will bring football to become top sport in the United States in the future.
In the future, it's getting bigger and bigger. Next year, 2024, they will be hosting the Copa America. So 2024, 2025, and of course, 2026, the bigger one that they will be hosting with Mexico and Canada. So from next year, USA will be very busy with hosting different clubs in different countries across the globe. And we know Lionel Messi, of course, is moved to Inter Miami. Sergio Busquets is also joining him. We don't know how many players Inter Miami will be able to attract. We'll have Messi in the soil of in the USA. And with all this tournament taking place, I think it's big. Maybe we'll just be having Lionel Messi playing in the 2024 Copa America and also in 2026 FIFA World Cup. That's how big this is for the United States. Not just Saudi Arabia busy claiming players, but US also doing that. They started that with the likes of Pele in days back. And now with Messi going on, there's another superstar going to the United States. Maurice is ready to join us now, King of the North. Of course, we will be taking a look at what happened in the NPFL, how Enyimba cruised to the title. Of course, Bendel Insurance unbeaten run that they had, they were able to cement that with the Federation Cup trophy. Maurice, good afternoon. It's good to have you join us.
Good afternoon. Nice to be here once again.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yeah, you know, we've mentioned, I don't know if you listened to the 32-team Club World Cup that we'll be having. I mean, yeah, Ken was talking about maybe we might just be having the likes of maybe Enyimba, you know, if they're able to win the league, of course, win the Champions League, they will be representing Africa. You're looking at the last 4 years, that's what FIFA is looking at, that we'll be playing in the very first edition. What do you make of this 32 team every 4 years at the FIFA Club World Cup?
Sorry, Maurice, before Maurice come in, Maurice, take it easy before you come in. I know Maurice will be happier if Kano Pillars gain promotion to the NPFL. And also, and then represent Nigeria in the continent. I know that is what Maurice will look at to. But I trust Maurice. Maurice is a professional at heart. We know Kano Pillars, Accra Pillars wanted to come back right here at up there. Since he just asked you, what do you make of the 32 team that will be going to the United States of America in 2025 to play the expanded FIFA Club World Cup competition?
I am itching to see how this will work out, considering the fact that we just finished from a season that we had to pause because of the World Cup. I'm eager to see how this will not affect some players who are involved in the national team, particularly North Africans and some South American teams, and then some North American teams as well. I'm eager to see how this will play out, because the players' union are already complaining about nobody thinking about the health of these players. I was speaking with a Super Eagles player during the international break, and I realized that all since the season started the past 1 year, he has only had a week rest. He has only had a week rest. So factor in a player who was at the World Cup for his country and back now, and by 2025, particularly the African players who will be at the AFCON in January 2024. 2025 again, that same player will still be at the World Cup. It's like nobody cares about the health of these players. It's like we're all about the commercial side of the game, and they're not looking at the health of these players. Already we saw the implication of playing the World Cup in the middle of the season. We had so many injuries towards the end of the season than we had in the regular season.
Yeah, of course.
Dropped. The players' intensity level also dropped. I'm eager to see how the 32-team Club World Cup would pan out. I want to see it work. I pray it works. And from the Nigerian angle, I am somebody who believes in having teams who have actually earned their rights to be there, to be there. You know, to be very honest with you. I traditionally, I always want Eyimba to represent Nigeria.
Okay.
Because they have that pedigree, they have that seriousness, and then they have that they have pedigree, they have seriousness, and then they have that drive and motivation. They are not overawed by the present. And then when you talk about Kanipila, I think from when Kanipila made the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League, I can't quite remember. That was the year they knocked out Al Ahly. I can't quite remember Kanipila having a positive run on the continent. I mean, if you're talking about one team that is continent shy, it has to be Kanipila. Let's say it. Kanipila, I mean, giving Kanipila the continental ticket to represent Nigeria have actually been, forget about the huge fan base, the traditional followership and all that. They have never, the last 5 times they represented us on the continent, they didn't go beyond the first knockout round. Even when they went beyond the first knockout round, the second knockout round, they were knocked out. I don't think Kanipila have played the group stage of any CAF tournament in the last 6 years. So when you have a team like that, you don't want them. I mean, looking at the teams that I would love to represent Nigeria at that extended World Cup and extended Club World Cup, I'll go for Eyimba #1. And I think to an extent, Remo Stars. I love Remo Stars to a particular extent because of the organization, although I have my reservations as well. The organization, the fact that it's an individually, it's a private club and all that. So I really wish them all the best. And then I also want Insurance of Benin, not because my parents are from Edo State or because I have Edo lineage, but because over the course of the season, I think Insurance of Benin have shown us that they can be serious people. I'll be very honest with you. They were so unfortunate to lost out on the league.
Okay.
They were very lost out via the league. But looking at it, you will not argue with me that if you want to mention the 3 best teams in Nigeria at the moment, Insurance of Benin will definitely get a shouting. They came to Lagos on the back of draws, series of draws, and couldn't keep the momentum up. But, you know, I normally say this, in a player's career, like in a season, the defining moment is what happened in between the season, not how you started or how you ended it. It's like a player's career. The defining moment of a player's career is normally in the middle of his career, not at the beginning, neither is it at the end. So, if we are going by that metric, Insurance had a fantastic season. We should praise Insurance. We should leave them to the high heaven, and hopefully when they go out there to represent us, then they will give us quality representation. For me, the 3 teams that will be flying Nigerian ticket on the continent, Eyimba, Insurance of Benin, and Remo Stars.
Rivers United is there too.
I beg your pardon, Rivers United. You see, there's this thing about me that people will not be happy when I talk about Rivers United. There's something about that team that don't just settle with me. And I'll say it here. They play a kind of a football that I can term as anti-football. But you can't help but love them because they don't lose. Anytime I watch them, this team is ordinary. This team is ordinary. They will get beaten now, but they will win. You watch them, you're like, this is a very, very ordinary team. These other guys are playing better. Final score, check who won. They always find a way to win. So I love them for the fact that they have a coach, Stanley Iguma, the longest serving coach in the history of the NPFL. He knows. It's like he channeled these players to win. They don't have those players who will give you that drive, but they just know how to win. So I don't like talking about them too much. I don't like to leave them to decide their fate.
Let's go. Sisi is saying we are going on break.
No. Yeah, I think we still have like a little time. You know, okay, we need to. Now, okay, we need to go on this break, but after this, we'll continue with that discussion. Yeah, welcome back from that break. Maurice was talking about Rivers United, that he feels he's going to leave them to their fate. But before we return back to that, we saw pictures coming from the game between Bayelsa Queens and Rivers Angels and how they were able to retain the Federation Cup trophy. We saw pictures of that earlier, just to let you know that they're still celebrating that victory. Not easy for you to win a trophy in 2021 and being able to retain it, especially when you're playing against a team like Rivers Angels. But Bayelsa Queens are doing something right that is working for all the players, and according to the Commissioner for Sport, last time we had him on Sports Tonight, he says they're the most motivated team in the NPFL. Don't know how true is that, but he confirmed that yes, the players are well paid and they don't have issues. That's why they've been successful. But they couldn't win the league at this time around. They were the holders last time, but Delta Queens beat them to it. So Delta Queens will be going to the regional qualifiers before they qualify for the Women's CAF Champions League. And we've been advocating on this show and every of us show that CAF should do more, try as much as possible to increase the numbers of teams to maybe 15 or 20 or 24, because women's football is growing across the world. So Africa, they really need to catch up with FIFA pumping so much money into it. So they need to grow up and, of course, have more teams taking part. And you don't have to go through the regional. And then for each region, for instance, West Africa, you would just be having to, taking part in that. Then you go to regional qualifiers, now have 8 teams at the end of the day where the best 8 teams will compete, in the Women's CAF Champions League at the end of the year. So, Maurice, back to you. You talked about Bendel Insurance and what they have. They also won the Federation Cup, after going through the season unbeaten. But then the Super 6, they lost 2 games in a row. Now, in the Federation Cup, bounced back, were able to beat Rangers, of course, won the Federation Cup for the first time in 43 years. Now, this team, having done this, can they take this squad to the continent? I know, yes, the management has been talking about they want to beef it up, but what do you make of Insurance being able to bounce back from those losses and, of course, winning the Federation Cup by a long goal?
CC, they can't take that squad to the tournament.
Okay.
Else they'll be back after 2 games. They will not even make it to the group stage, because it was clear that when the squad were up against 6 of the best in Nigeria, they couldn't cope.
Yes.
So imagine going up against the best in Africa. I do say this, and I won't stop saying it. Cup games are usually and normally easier to win, in my own opinion, than actually a full-fledged league season. Because the cup games are like home and away basis, where you can have the luck of the draws. It's the knockout stage and all that. You can just a 1 game of team. But in the league, you need consistency over 38 games. Cup games is like a short sprint, while the league is a marathon. So the difference is very, very clear. So for Insurance of Benin, I think they are more suited to the sprint. But before you get to that sprint angle, before you get to even at the sprint angle, which the Super 6 serves for, which the NPFL playoff stood for, you could notice that against 6 of the best in Nigeria, Insurance were found wanting. They need to be for. You see, people will always complain about our league, that blame the administrators. The league organizers is because of the league is not complete. That's why our teams are failing on the continent. But it's beyond that. To me, our teams are failing on the continent because recruitment is poor. If you watch it's recruitment and coaching problem. If you watch a typical NPFL game, for instance, you are back home, like my elder brother Ken, you just finished watching a Manchester United versus Chelsea game, and you book a flight, or a Manchester United versus Leicester City game, and you book a flight down to Nigeria the next day and head up to the Mobolaji Arena. I hope I got that correctly. Yeah. To go and watch a league game in Nigeria. Let me not even digress that far. Yeah. Watch an Egyptian league game, a Tanzanian league game, and then watch an NPFL game. You could tell where there is better coaching, where there appear to be serious talents, and where there is a little bit of focus and maybe, how will I put it now, where there's a little bit of focus and to a large extent commitment. Commitment. In Nigeria, it's funny, but I have to say this. Bendel Insurance Federation Cup champions, they deserve it. Rivers United going back to the continent, they deserve it. Remo Stars going back to the continent, they deserve it. Eimba going back to the continent, they deserve it. Representing Nigeria on the continent, I mean. But will they be able to shock the rest of the African continent? That is what I can categorically tell you will not happen. At the meantime, we are backward in terms of coaching. I will keep saying this. Nigerian coaches don't like to hear it, but I'll keep on saying it. These days, you have teams normally have scouts, teams have video section, teams have match analysts, teams normally have what is this thing again? Spies. I mean, scouts and the rest.
Scouts.
A Nigerian team, the way we scout players is very, very funny. I remember this funny story, Ken and Cece. I'll give you guys the story. A friend of mine scouted a team that was to play against Eimba some seasons ago in Sudan. Submitted the entire report to the Eimba management. It was passed on to the coach. And the coach threw it away and said, no be to come, no not today, we don't play ball. And the same player that was highlighted in that same report scored a hat-trick, not just in Sudan, came to Eimba's ground again in Aba and scored a brace.
Yeah.
The coach had no idea of who that guy is. So, you know, unless our coaches begin to know some of these things, and takes up, do NPFL coaches, do they scout their opponents?
Yeah.
They don't. They don't. And then how do we scout for players in the NPFL? I'll shock you. If a player plays well against you, is a good player, you sign him the next season. Simple. You won't even look at where your team is actually lacking. What kind of style is your coach playing? The coaches that fit the style that your coach is playing. Other countries are not doing that. We are still recruiting for the sake of recruitment. And funny enough, this thing still happen in Nigeria. We recruit based on state of indigene. He's an Edo boy. He has been doing very well for Kaduna United. Sign him and bring him back home. He's from Akwa Ibom State. He's the one that's carrying Eimba on his back. Bring him back to Akwa United. See how can we progress this way?
Yeah, it's difficult, really. I hope maybe they can not look at that and just focus on what they need. Key department that players that the key department that the team is lacking, and then bring in players that can fit in. But let's take a listen to the chairman of Bendel Insurance, who is also the deputy governor of Edo State, talking about how they want to recruit for Bendel Insurance to make the team better on the continent, and also not just that, how the team will survive when this current administration is no more.
We're also looking at ex-internationals that are out of contract now in Europe and Saudi. We're trying to bring some of them back. The likes of Ojo Igalo is one of those we're already targeting, and we already sent contact to him, and we pray that people like that coming into Bendel Insurance will not only give it experience, will not give the team only experienced players, but exposure, because we are going now into continent, and continental games are not games that you take for granted. 5 years ago, what we did was to rebrand Bendel Insurance, and we're very determined to bring Bendel Insurance back, and we're very determined also and serious to give it a name and brush up the negativities that had gone with it before, and reposition Bendel Insurance for not just a government club, government-sponsored club, but a going concern for all, including the private sector. Because whether you like it or not, football, sports can only be sustained by the private sector. Government duty is to provide the facility. And that is what we've done in Edo State. We've provided facility. Now it's the private sector now need to now come in and take advantage of those facilities to now put in their investment in the league. You can see from what I'm putting on, you can see that Bendel Insurance is the first team in Nigeria that have been able to get this private sponsorship deal for it. Beyond the jersey, that we have an MOU with the manufacturer. We also have one of the banks, one of the leading banks in Nigeria, investing in Bendel Insurance. So we are looking forward to more investment by the private sector. And this time, obviously, we are looking for more private sector investment in insurance. And this season, we hope that the present brand will be upping his game. If not, we're already having some other competitors that are ready to bring in money, and their name will be on our jersey, because this time we are not only selling their product within Nigeria, we are selling their product outside Nigerian shores. So it's what we want to make. And our determination to make Bendel Insurance what it is to the extent that insurance can stand on its own with or without government funding. That is the direction we are taking Bendel Insurance, so that at the end of the day, if you don't have a governor that likes sport, you don't have a deputy governor that is a footballer, insurance will not go back to where we pick it from. So that is all the things we are putting together to make Bendel Insurance a team that it is. Because Bendel Insurance is a mass movement club. The supports of Bendel, the supports fan base of Bendel Insurance is huge, beyond Edo State, beyond Nigeria, beyond Africa. And it's not just Edo people that love Bendel Insurance. A lot of people are, after the match, have been receiving calls from Sokoto, from Maiduguri, from Lagos, from Anambra, from UK, from US, different calls, thanking us for bringing Bendel Insurance back to life. So now, it's time for all this fan base to also invest to make the club that they want it to be. Bendel Insurance, by the grace of God, will not go back to where it's coming from. Instead, it will improve on the laurels they were winning that time. They've started with this FA Cup after 43 years. They've started with the FA Cup and they've gotten a continental ticket. For me, this is the beginning, and it shows that our investment is not wasted. Our investment is already producing results.
Yeah, on the full interview, he mentioned something about having to go through their feeders team, bring in young players, and also scouts across the country to bring in other players that will help. But one thing I'm picking, again, is that of Dio Igalo, if he wants to join. Remember, he made an interview talking about Dio Igalo that he will play in any Nigerian club if you have the security. Moise, before Ken would jump in, will it be a good deal if Odion will come in? He talked about the experience he is bringing in because they want to bring in young players and other players. And you said they cannot take this team to the continent. Yes, we have star players like Divine Wanchuku. We also have Imade Osarenhwe and some other star players in the team.
Yeah, the thing is, if it goes back to what I said earlier on, if goal scoring is the issue of the team, bringing in Odion Igalo will more than even solve that problem. But what if the problem is not goal scoring, rather is chances creation? Bringing in Odion Igalo will not solve anything. It goes back to what I said. If goal scoring is the issue, bring in Odion Igalo. If it's not goal scoring that is the issue, if you bring in 1,000 Odion Igalo, they will still not score.
All right. Ken, I know you want to jump in here, concerning what he has been talking about. Maybe we'll talk about the local transfer. I mean, there's a story about Obioma wanting to leave Enyimba. I mean, I think 50 million quid slap on him, or so many talks around concerning some players moving from one club to another in the league and also wanting to go outside the shores of the country. Okay, you can unmute now.
Yeah, I can. Okay. I can. I think you can hear me clearly now.
Yes, very well. Yes.
First, I think the logic that Moise is talking about has to do with what we call simple SWOT analysis. Your strengths, your weaknesses, which are internal, you understand, and then your opportunities and your threats, which are external. So you do a SWOT analysis of your team, of your company, of yourself, even as an individual. You understand, before you do anything you want to do. You look at Bendel Insurance. This season has been, I don't want to use the word massive, but that is what most sportsmen use. This season has been great for them. Coming in from the lower league, right straight to the top, being trusted there, and then moving how far they've gone. But like you said, we've always asked this question on this show when we have the opportunity to speak with the administrators of each of these clubs. Beyond you, beyond the present, beyond whatever, what is the foundation that you are laying that after you, these clubs can stand on their feet? Remember in our last interview that we had live with the deputy governor there, he did say something. He did say something about. He did say something about Bendel Insurance making about 40 million on merchandising and about 150 million or so, yes, he's on sponsorship. That is great. And then if you're saying it is a mass followership team, if you're saying the fan base is broadening, if you're saying you are bringing back those old people of Bendel Insurance from 1972 to 1976 to 1978 to 1980, because you know they won the FA Cup in 1980. They won the first inaugural league, the first home and away league in 1979 was by Bendel Insurance in 1979 before they won the FA Cup against us in 1980. I mean, those were the golden years. Those who have followed insurance since then, I'll say, where art thou? Where have you been? Oh, are you still alive? You are not an abiku. You are back to stay. So basically, this is what we are saying. So you can tap in on this. There is for each club, there is what we call a marketing, a USP, a unique selling, principle, a unique selling proposal, another personality that you have. That it is this that is unique about you. We've talked about Enyimba winning back-to-back Champions League. We've talked about Shooting Stars winning the first ever cup winners, the first ever for Nigeria in 1976. They also won the first CAF Cup when it was introduced by Shooting Stars. So there is a selling point, the unique selling point for Enyimba, for IIC Shooting Stars. There was 3SC now for Bendel Insurance. In fact, there was a year. Get this down. There was a year that Bendel Insurance represented Nigeria into continental, because subcontinent in Wafu, they played in Wafu. The same team played in Wafu and played on the African continent. So these clubs have history. Rangers International have history. Remember that battle against Shooting Stars in Kaduna in the semi-finals of the Cup winners when they won in 1977. So this are the things we're talking about here. So you go back to where they are coming from. They are not just any club. They are clubs with history. You can capitalize on it. You can build on this and make it where they are. So basically, we are saying what insurance is doing and what other clubs are doing is what others should be doing. So that after today you sow so that you can today you plant so that you can reap tomorrow.
Yeah, and also the recruitment policy must be top-notch. Moise, now let's quickly touch that on transfer currently happening. I mean, anyone you know that done deal or about to happen, and the players you feel are leaving some clubs and moving to Europe.
I will start by your statement on Emeka Obioma. Enyimba demanding $500,000 as transfer fee from Zamalek, who are actually cash-strapped to an extent. I think it's what the market is demanding. It's what the market is. We saw Anayo Ewala, who had 2 Super Eagles or 3 Super Eagles caps under his name, transferred by Enyimba for a fee slightly above that level. Slightly above that level. At the point in time, Enyimba slammed a €1 million price tag on him. I remember I did that story, and then later on, Enyimba came back to negotiate, and then they were able to bring down the salary and all that, the price tag. You see, the thing is, for transfers in the local scene at the moment, we really don't have a lot going on. So rather, we have coaches moving. The coach of Plateau United, Fidelis Ilechukwu, is rumored to be on his way to take over as the new coach of Enugu Rangers. Deji Ayenu of Akwa United is rumored to be the one that will replace him at Plateau United. Niger Tornadoes Bala Mohammed is supposedly going to Lobby Stars to replace Baba Ganaru, who was there. Yeah. Who is still there up to now anyway, but they said he'll be leaving at the end of the season. Then Fatai Osho has already left his role as assistant at Rivers United to team up with Aqua United. So for now, it's only coaches that are moving. The players will begin to move after the coaches settle. When the coaches are settled, the players will begin to move. Now, in the international scene, it's not too different. I am more focused about the under-20 boys that we saw at the under-20 World Cup, but I'm still not losing track about the Super Eagles player because a lot of them need to move. For instance, Kelechi Iheanacho is linked to the move to Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
And probably he's coming to Nottingham Forest, we see Emmanuel Dennis leave the club. That's true. Wilfred Ndidi wants to leave Leicester City. As a matter of fact, I gathered on good authority, has already told them that he wants to go. Joe Aribo wants to leave Southampton. Paul Onuachu too wants to leave Southampton because they are both relegated.
Yes.
Moses Simon wants to leave Nantes for a new challenge. That he's tired of helping the team battle relegation season in, season out, and being. He wants to go to a team that will compete and fight for honors. Or they have played in 2 cup finals and they've actually won one. Also, I know as a fact as well that Francis Uzoho too is on the lookout for another club. He wants to move things up a notch. Alex Iwobi also is on his way, is likely on his way out of Everton. So all of these moves are still in the works. I mean, they are not yet done and dusted, you know. But for the under-20 boys, I'm particularly impressed because for the first time since 2005, we have 8 players from this very team who are expected to change clubs. And I'll count. Daniel Daga, if not for the fact that he's 16, would have been signed by either AC Milan or Inter Milan, and they're still keeping tab on him. He's one. Already, Istra have signed Salim Fago Lawal. Istra have signed him already. Istra of Croatia. They have signed him already. Already, Al-Duhul of the United Arab Emirates have signed Halilu Seriki. That's free. Benjamin Frederick, if you follow renowned transfer guru Fabrizio, you see that he's been linked with Bayern Munich and a lot of clubs and even Villarreal. That's the central defender. He's expected to move. If you look forward further again, their midfielder Tochukwu Nadi has already moved to Russian side Dynamo Moscow. His fellow partner from Botev Plodiv, who was at that World Cup as well, Ume, is being linked with a move to Standard Liège of Belgium. That's 6. Ebel Oguche, his club Trelleborg say they have offers for Ebel Oguche, and they will decide before the end of the current transfer window. That's 7. Now, 8-1 again is a player called Samson Lawal. He's in talks with Livingstone of Scotland to make a move down there. And that's still not all as well. Even Victor Eletu, who is at AC Milan, wants to also leave AC Milan to where he will have regular game time. So we have, you know, people, the goalkeeper have already joined a team in Croatia, a top division team in Ukraine, sorry. The goalkeeper already moved to Ukraine. So we have a team that's 10 players from what I mentioned will likely change teams by the end of this transfer window. Around 10 of them will play for new teams by the end of this transfer window. But people like Ken Ochonogo will still say the Ladamboso team failed. I wonder how they failed when we all agree that under 20 is meant to be developmental. And then from this stage now, they are moving to the next stage of development, which is moving to a club that is higher than the club that they are playing for now. CC, I think that is what I personally look out for after a tournament.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you because we keep talking about even if they don't win title, if you're able to get some players making moves and also making waves 2-3 years after the tournament, then it's something you can be proud of. Hopefully, their moves will materialize, and of course, these players will play in top clubs after starting very low. But then let's quickly take this one out of the way, the Niger Super 8. I mean, you mentioned earlier that players already complained they don't really have time to rest. Federation Cup is just over. Better Assurance are played on Wednesday. And of course, they'll be in action today in the Niger Super 8. And this is organized by Flycat Promotion, of course, partnership with the DSTV Super Sport, because they had to have a pre-season where the time it's happening is immediately after the season. But you have so many clubs taking part in this one. The final 8 will be in Lagos. But right now, they are having the regional playoffs from the districts across the country. And for North Central, City FC and Lobby Stars, it was Lobby Stars who won 4-2 on penalties after it ended 2-2 on regulation time. Let's flip over to the one of the Southwest, where you have Shooting Stars and Remo Stars. Shooting Stars, according to the coach Benga Gumbote, said they were not really ready. But Remo Stars, fresh from the Super 6, are also nicking a continental ticket, defeating Shooting Stars by 3-0. So they picked the ticket from the Southwest. And from the Northeast, it was Yobe Stars, who picked that 2-1, beating Gombe United. And of course, what happened in the South-East, it was aimed by a lone goal over Heartland. That was enough for them to nick the ticket. Murphy Udukoye was the one who scored that lone goal in 25th minute of the game. So from the South-East, we have Aimba representing that zone. So let's see how it is right now. Qualified teams, you have Lobby Stars already picking a ticket for the Super 8. Bremer Stars, Yobe Desert Stars, and of course Aimba are the 4 teams. Now 2 will join them, and in today's matches we'll know the 2 that will be joining to make it 6 before the wild card ticket will be picked. From the Northwest, you have Kano Pillars and Katsina United will be in action, and the South-South derby, of course, Rivers United and Bendel Insurance will be the last game. And then you have these 6 teams, and then 2 wild cards will be picked for the Super 8 that will be in Lagos from July 7th to July 16th. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, of course, we'll also be talking about Victor Osimhen. He's reflecting on winning Scudetto with Napoli. Welcome back. Ken, Niger Super 8, you will say, is a money grabber, or so to speak. Now, with Aimba, these teams have won already, guaranteed 9 million naira. Just this. Of course, we know how much the winners will be getting. But the fatigue we're talking about is like it's setting in for teams like Shooting Stars. Aimba just 1-0 over Heartland. That's something they really can't celebrate.
Yeah, like we said, anything that will kind of I think what the league is, Nigerian football is going through now is like a transition period, from the lull, and then it's like a kind of reawakening. Get the fans ready. I totally agree with Moise when talking about players fatigue, playing too many games, and then putting it there. But probably what this would have done would have been a little bit shift it closer to pre-season, maybe a month or so, to when let the players after the hectic season rest for about a month or so when the next season is to start, you now schedule these games about so that they can use this as pre-season, preparations for the next season. But it is good creating the awareness for now. It are the sacrifice we have to make, but I hope the sacrifice will not be too much, to be at the detriment of the health of the players, just having injuries and stuff. So but the excitement is there. Bringing in, I love the way it is being spread around. That is, a representation of the 3 regions in the north, the 3 regions in the south, the northeast, north central, northwest, southwest, southeast, everybody bringing your team, and then the traditional teams that are going to be there, plus the wild card that will be picked. My own is, let us grow the fan base. Let us win back the confidence of Nigerian football fans. Let them have to say you can come in and be part of this team. The next aspect is to get our superstars, our celebrities to be part of this journey, so that they, with their numerous fans, have that influence. Sometimes you see the most influential people in the world, you see maybe magazines or people will pick them. That is what it is. The ability to influence. Just think at what it is when our knowledgeable stars, when our music stars, our icons all over the world, the Burna Boys of this world, the Two-Faced DBS of this world, who wherever they go, they can shut down the Wizkids and begin the generation next, even the older generation. Imagine what it will be if these people are part of Nigerian football. If they identify with their respective teams, there are a lot of way to go on this, and I do expect that it is the right way. Bring these celebrities to the stadium. Let them identify with each of the teams, and they will get there. We should look at but I said it is paramount that it is the players that matter. Their health matters. So we just have to balance both of them to get the optimum result. I'm excited about the Super 8. I'm excited about other products that will come on board, to enhance the status and build the fan base of football in Nigeria and other sports too, not just football. We can take a cue. If you watch the American, look at American basketball, you will see football stars coming in. I'm trying to remember the last French Open final. the last final, you saw all the stars that were there from other sports, and they acknowledged them when Djokovic was calling out their names one after the other. It tells you, I am seeing this, I'm seeing that. That is, you broaden that base. And then also, I want to see more female. Like I said, we saw the Delta, the Delta women winning the league. Delta Queens winning the league and stuff. But it should not be just within that. We want to see the stadium filled with kids, young kids. Go to their schools, bring in school girls, let them, pick them up from this age, so that it will be a new culture on their part. So, I mean, we are on the right path. We are on there will be some sacrifices made at these early stages, but I hope that those sacrifices, we should to gain from it, build that momentum, and stabilize, and be forced to be reckoned with, not just in the continent, but in world football.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. Maurice, a quick one on the Niger Super 8 before we talk about Victor Osimhen and his success this season.
I go with what Sisi said earlier on. I mean, I go with what she said about no one cares about the players' health. If you follow the NPFL playoff like I did, you notice that when the games were getting towards the later part stages of the tournament, the explosiveness, the intensity, and everything dropped. And you listen to what the Shooting Stars coach actually said about his team not being properly ready. This is a team that have actually rested and all that. So I am beginning to wonder what Eyimba would do at the Super 8. I'm eager to see, because as at yesterday evening, Bendel Insurance have not arrived in Eket. I don't know if they are there yet. I'm eager to see how they will shake off winning the FA Cup, playing in the Super 8 playoff, and then before going for the Super 8 in Lagos as well. I go with you 100%. Sometimes when we make some of these plans, we should also factor in the players. It's what I understand what my elder brother Ken said here about there will be sacrifices along the line for we to get this league up and running. I saw Burna Boy at the UEFA Champions League final. He was called on stage by Thierry Henry. He was on stage with them and all that. It was nice. It was lovely. It was beautiful and all that. But you see, before we get to that stage, let's look at the main actors, which are the players. Yeah. The players are the main actors. What are we thinking about their head? What is their recovery? We saw the coach of the Super Eagles, Pesieru, giving the two home-based players, outfit players who came to the Super Eagles camp. He gave them a day off. I mean, and then he was clear. He made mention of it that they played 4 games in 9 days.
9 days.
Normally, by FIFA standard, you are supposed to give players a 72-hour space of recovery. 72-hour space of recovery. Players are supposed to be rested for 72 hours before before playing another game. Either resting by not training or resting by having some light form of training. Yeah. But in Nigeria, we don't seem to care more about the health of these players. And I understand there will be sacrifices, but I wouldn't want it to come on the part of the players. Yeah. We should be protecting them, because it's very easy for these players to go into the continent now and complain about burnouts. They could complain about burnouts. And our teams don't have the policy of rotating players. If we do, and it's because of costs, you can't travel with a team of 40 players as an NPFL team. You know how much it's going to cost you? Feed.
Story for another day.
Yeah, but these teams can travel with 40, 45 players and then decide to rotate their team, play the kids, play the senior, or maybe use that as a leeway for some promising youngsters to break into the team. We don't have that mechanism, so we don't have that structure yet. So you see, don't be surprised. A player who played in the NPFL playoff, who played in this Federation Cup, played in the league, will now be going into the Super 8. That is 4 months of non-stop football. And in 1 month's time or thereabout, he will still be required to return back to the African continent to defend his team. See, where is that player resting?
Yeah, it's hard. As in questions for the administrators to see how they can sort all these out. Hopefully, the Super 8 next year will factor in when the season will end. And of course, it will be a proper pre-season, not just a week or 2 weeks after the season ends. Now, we're talking about Victor Osimhen, who really impressed for Napoli. I mean, in the first season when he signed for the club in 2020, that season how many appearances? 30, scored 10 goals. The second season, 32 goals, 32 games, 18 goals. And of course, the final season, the last season when he won Scudetto with Napoli was 39 games and 31 goals despite the injuries. And he's been talking and reflecting on that, what it means to him to be able to win that trophy, having joined the team with a price tag of 70 million and with add-ons, of course, rising to about 80 million euros.
I came to Napoli 2020. I've gone through so many series of injuries, you know, and some doubters, you know, writing me off about my move to this amazing club. But of course, there is always time, and there is always time for everything. I worked so hard to get back on my feet and everything like that. 2020 was also a good season for me, but not really so good. And 2021, fast forward to 2023, it's been an amazing season for me, one of the best in my career so far. I wouldn't do this alone. A big thank you to my teammates, to the coaches, and to be able to bring the Scudetto to Napoli since 33 years is an unbelievable journey for me, for my teammate. I'm really overwhelmed, and I'm still celebrating.
You know what that means when you're still celebrating. Maurice, I believe you agree with me here that it was worth it. That amount that Napoli paid for him. People were saying, what can he bring to the table? But then he has delivered what they needed so much to the club.
I think that's one signing. Like, I love the way he captured it. I've always said it, that this is Osimhen's first real season as a professional at Napoli. Even at that too, he still had some stops along the line and all that, you know. I really feel like the first 2 seasons he actually underperformed to his ability. At first time I saw Osimhen was in the Nigerian under-17 camp. I think the very first day he came to the camp, I saw him that day. I could remember Jolomi Atunene, what was his name, the assistant coach, was asking somebody to call that boy that was wearing white. That boy that was wearing white happened to be Osimhen. I saw him at the under-20 team as well. And I dare say that after Isaac's success, the first player who struck me and won me over from the first day I saw him has to be Victor Osimhen. But then looking at it again, last season was just like the crowning glory for Victor Osimhen. Boy was on fire. He was simply on fire. It's no point. I missed his part when I talk about Nigerian players who had to move, because if you're following Sky Sport Italia, Sky Sport Italia are saying that Napoli are willing to let Osimhen leave. Osimhen has told Napoli that he wants to leave, else they should pay him 12 million euros a month. Sisi, you work that out with your calculator, tell me how much that is in Naira. That's what Osimhen is asking them to pay him a month at Napoli, and he's present. And then Napoli has a wage cap. I think Napoli highest earning player now is on 7 million euros. Osimhen is asking for 12. So that's the subtle way of saying I want to go. He had a meeting with the Napoli president, his agent, alongside his agent Roberto Calenda, and it was agreed that, okay, if a team comes up with 130 million euros, plus further addition that could see it rise to 150 million euros, they'll be willing to let him go. I mean, it's about Napoli too, be willing to, like, okay, let's just get what we can get now. He probably might not have this kind of season again. So let's make this season to the best of our ability. So it will be a win-win situation for Osimhen. But I think for what is what, it is a transfer that has worked out. It's a transfer that has worked out. And Osimhen has, I think he has retraced himself from going to Germany, where there was no clear path for his development, to going to Belgium, where he developed properly, to moving to France, where he developed astonishingly, and then going now to Italy, where he's simply untouchable. I think it has been his career. Like, even if you ask Osimhen to design it, he wouldn't have designed it this well the past 3 years, the past 6 years. Sorry.
All right. That's where to end it. Thank you so much, Maurice, for joining us on the program today.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
All right, Ken, you have to drop the pen right now. We need to go. Time up.
Yeah, it's time to drop the pen. It's been great. And I hope by next, we'll be looking at the transfer season right now. So we'll still be monitoring the CR7s, the Benzemas, you know, the Messis, the Busquets, and then the Osimhens too. Yeah, this is where I drop my pen. Ken Ojonogo, have a blessed Sunday, guys.
All right, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Do have a fantastic day.